So Villa Vie has launched yet another new program. So Rent to Buy is the latest offering. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the pros and cons of this Rent to Buy, and I'm going to crunch all the numbers to find out which is the best program to buy on Villa Vie. Welcome to Travel with Zan. Villa Vie has released yet another program, Rent to Buy this time. So watch this video to find out what I think of it, go through all the pros and cons, and look at all the numbers. So I'm going to crunch the numbers and find out which is the best program because there's so many of them now. So keep watching if you're interested in Villa Vie. You asked for this video, so here it is. So if you have something that you'd like me to address, please let me know in the comments below, and like this video, I will get back to you with it if I've got an opinion on it or it's something I know about. Please do like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy it. It costs you nothing, but it means the world to me. So just, hit a like and subscribe button. That would be great. Anyway, back to Villa Vie. So if you have not been following along with Villa Vie like I have been, or many other people, then Villa Vie is a residential cruise ship that launched last year. So they are the first of their kind in the world. There is the World, which is sort of just for rich people, but this is like a reasonably priced residential cruise ship, so you can live on the ship full-time or part-time and travel the world. The things I like about it is that, they spend a few days in a lot of the ports, and I do love cruising because I love the, unpack once and see the world thing. So Villa Vie has interested me since the beginning, and I've been following along since the beginning, and I have done a couple of videos on Villa Vie. So if you are interested in Villa Vie, check out the description or link above. So in particular, I've done one on the pros and cons of Villa Vie overall that I did earlier on, and I've also done one on the Golden Passport last week. So what does rent to own mean? So they're touting this one as you get to try it before you buy it, but in comparison to try before you buy, this is, not just a 1 week, have a quick look at the ship. You have to spend a minimum of 3 months on the ship, and you get to try the lifestyle, and some of the rental money that you pay goes towards ownership if you decide that that's what you want to do. So they say from $500 it goes towards the ownership. I think this program does offer a lot of flexibility for those who are unsure about it, but think that they probably will, but are not quite sure. And it does give a good chance. 3 months is certainly long enough to see if it's a lifestyle that you'd be interested in trying. So downsides, I think probably we need to look at the costs, which I will be doing in a moment, and seeing, how much more it costs than if you did just buy outright or if you just rented. And also what happens if you decide that you don't want to buy or don't want to continue on the ship, and any limitations to the program. So, what cabins you can choose, any of the rules and regulations around it. So I'll also talk about those a bit later. So I've crunched a lot of numbers looking at all the different programs available. I've based pretty much sort of on a single occupancy in a porthole cabin, as that one covered most of the different programs, and had a look and see what I think is best. So to own a porthole cabin costs $3,500 per month per person for a double, and 20% less for singles. So that's paying for 2 people, so it would be $7,000. So all the prices in this video are in US dollars, just to let you know. But anyway, so that would be $7,000 minus the 20%. So that's $5,600. So, and they say $500 of that goes towards future ownership. I can't actually see, it says from $500. I can't see anything that tells you actually the exact amounts on that. So it might be slightly more because that might be for the inside cabin, and it might be slightly more of your porthole cabin fees that you've paid. So try before you buy. So this is just a 7-day cruise, but when I've crunched numbers, I've worked that out as if it was a monthly fee. And this was the original way of, trying it before you're buying it. So you just paid for a 1 week segment. There was the fact that you had to go over 2 different countries. So that did make it quite expensive, that you couldn't do something within a country and then, it's a cheaper flight. You're having to go between countries for legal reasons. So obviously that would increase your flights back to your home country. Golden Passport. So this one came out last week. I have done a video for that, so do check it out if you're interested in Golden Passport. So this was aimed at older people, and it was a tiered program, is a tiered program, from 55 years up to 90 plus, and it gets cheaper as you get older. And that's just a once-in buy-in price, and then you're there for as long as you are alive or the ship's alive, or you want to stay on it. So I have also put in figures for that one in a moment. And I looked at renting a segment through Villa Vie. So I looked at the North Asia segment, which runs from the 1st of May to the 31st of July. So that's 3 months. And a Deck 3 porthole cabin was $318 per day on that. You can also get a Deck 4 Ocean View for $358 per day. So I worked that out on a 30-day staying in the porthole cabin. There's also private rentals. So a number of people who are on the ship that have bought rent out their cabins for segments where they're going to be at home or, off doing something else. So I looked at that, which is a lot cheaper. And there were, for instance, a porthole cabin for $225 per day for single or $275 per day for a double. There was an ocean view for $249 per day single or $299 per day double. And an inside was $199 for single or double. So certainly, if you are a double occupancy, the private renting is definitely a lot cheaper. So I based my calculations on $225 per day, which was the single in a porthole cabin. So ownership is obviously the original, the OG Villa Vie offering. So this is, you buy a cabin for a certain amount of money, and then you pay a monthly stipend to live there, and that covers everything, and you can stay there for the lifetime of the ship, or like a minimum of 15 years is guaranteed, though obviously if the ship and the company doesn't last that long, then you would lose out. So for the ownership, porthole cabin was $150,000 plus $2,500 per month per person double, or $4,000 per month single. An ocean view, $170,000 plus the $2,500 for double, $4,000 for solo. Balcony cabin, just for interest, I didn't do numbers on this, but that's $330,000 starting from, plus $4,000 per month per person for double occupancy, or $7,000 per month for a single occupancy. So I worked this one out on staying on for 15 years for my overall working out of the money, staying on for 15 years. So $150,000 over 15 years, $10,000 per year, which is $833 per month, plus the $4,000 single occupancy. So that came out at $4,833 per month. And I'm also going to later look at how much it would cost if you didn't stay on for the 15 years. So if we look at this first table that I did, which is the monthly equivalent price for single occupancy in a porthole cabin. So rent to own was $5,600. So try before you buy. You can't do porthole, you could only do ocean view, and that's $8,400. The Golden Passport was just $1,667. The private rental through Villa Vie was $9,540. Private rental $6,750, and the ownership $4,833. So obviously the long-term options, the Golden Passport and the ownership, are the cheapest, with the Golden Passport providing a very affordable $1,667 a month. That's if you were going on it from 55 to 70 and staying on the whole time, and not getting sick and the ship lasting that long. Rent to own comes in not much more than the owning, so it's a good way to not fully commit, especially if you take in consideration the $500 a month that will be credited back to you, supposedly. So if you're definitely thinking about buying, that could really help. I thought it was quite interesting to see how much cheaper private rental was than renting through Villa Vie, so I think that's definitely something to look out for on the Villa Vie Rentals website. There's also a Facebook group that you can join where they talk about those. And also Midlife Cruising often promote some of the cabins that are up for rental on their YouTube channel. So I'll link everything down below for you. So if you think about more likely lower lengths of stay, like 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years, so I've also looked at these and done a table. I've just included the Golden Passport, the rent to own, and the ownership, because they're the sort of longer term ones. Obviously, you can't even do the try it before you buy it. Private rentals, there might be some, especially further down the track, that are longer term, but at the moment they're usually just while people are, off for a couple of months or whatever, going visiting homes. So they're not really viable for long term. Though, upcoming there might be some, and there'd probably be quite a good deal on those, I would have thought, as, if people are finding that they can't stay on, don't want to sell it though, and are wanting to rent it out. And renting through Villa Vie itself is quite expensive, so I don't think anybody's going to really do that long term. So table 2 this is the per month, taking into consideration the different lengths of time for a portal cabin, single occupancy for a 55-year-old. So we're looking if you stayed on for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years. And for ownership, these are 8,167 for 3 years, 6,500 for 5 years, 5,250 for 10 years, and 4,533 if you stayed for the 15 years. Golden Passport starts at 8,333 for 3 years, 5,000 for 5 years, 2,500 for 10 years, and 1,667 for 15 years. So rent to own is the $5,600 per month, and that doesn't really change however long you stay. Obviously, you're building up credits if you are doing the rent to own. So looking at that, it's quite obvious that Golden Passport is a really good option if you are able to stay long term. And I mean, that was for a 55-year-old. So 55 to 70 is sort of not an unreasonable age to think about it. Obviously, the reason it got a lot cheaper when you're like 90 plus is you're unlikely to be able to stay on the ship for 15 years if you're over 90. So the Golden Passport, you're needing to stay on for over 5 years, though, to make it more affordable. So I think for many people, the rent to own is a good value if you're only looking at 1 to 5 years on the ship and you're concerned about resale being possible. And I think 1 to 5 years is probably the length of time a lot of people would be considering staying on the ship. So even not considering the $500 if you did decide you wanted to stay on it, I think personally I would just be ignoring that and thinking this is the price that I'm paying. And, if I did decide to buy, those credits would be sort of an added bonus. Obviously, with ownership, resale or buyback is an option. At the moment, probably not a highly viable option because they haven't sold all the cabins. So you have to discount quite a bit to be able to do a resale, and not really sure how the buyback's working or if it's working. So let's look at some of the terms and conditions on their website that they've put up. So it says a portion of your rental payments is credited towards ownership, starting at $500 per villa. You may apply additional amounts towards ownership if you choose. So it doesn't say exactly how much this is going to be. My guess is maybe the 500 is for the inside cabin, so maybe slightly more of the porthole cabin, but who knows. So you have to pay for 3 months when you sign up, so 3 months is the minimum. And if you decide not to continue, you lose the credit amount that goes towards it, which is kind of obvious. And the credits can apply towards the purchase of a villa or an Endless Horizons or Golden Passport package. So it's not just to full ownership, so that's quite good. They don't expire, but they're not transferable. And how do maintenance fees work once I convert to ownership? So your maintenance fees begin once your cabin is fully paid, and at that point your monthly fees are locked in and you start enjoying full ownership and benefits, including your specific cabin assignment and the friends and family privileges. So that's the cheap ability to have friends and family come and visit, and it's really quite affordable for them to stay in a cabin on the ship. So from this wording, I would assume that they would be whatever price is set as the monthly fees at the time of when you buy. So that could be different to what they are now. It's a gamble that you'd have to take. And remember, it's minimum 3 months for this sale to ownership package. So what do I think of this rent to own? I actually think it's pretty good. It seems pretty good value. I think it's not a bad amount of money to be spending per month to stay on the cruise ship. You've got to remember that, you know, all of your food, some drinks, so, you know, there's 2 glasses of wine or beer at lunch and dinner, your laundry, your cleaning, Wi-Fi, which is a big one. If you are looking at staying on, you know, like a normal cruise ship, longish term, you have to pay for your Wi-Fi, which is quite expensive, especially if, you know, you're working part-time or anything to fund these travel. So I actually think it's quite a good value, and it is something that I would actually look further into, because I feel that it, you know, counteracts some of the fears that I have of the company not lasting and not knowing if I wouldn't want to stay on. So you're only paying for, you know, like the 3 months. So that's, yeah, not a bad gamble. So actually I think that it's something I would look at. So I don't know what you think. If you think that it's a good value package and it's something that you would try, if you would try Villa Vie at all, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinions. So let me know if this program is something that would be more likely to get you to live at sea, or if you would never live at sea at all. So please like and subscribe. It really does help my channel grow. And thanks a lot. Let me know what you'd like to hear about next. And I will be putting up some more of my China videos as well soon. So like and subscribe. Until next time, thanks.